For decades, archaeologists puzzled over the jade burial suits of ancient China. What were these mysterious outfits made of thousands of tiny jade plates sewn together with gold or silver thread? Were they symbolic, protective, or something more? The discovery of one remarkably preserved example, unearthed in a recently opened tomb, is finally shedding light on this enduring mystery. What it reveals about how the ancient Chinese viewed death and the afterlife could change history. In 2025, a newly discovered tomb near Shan shocked the world. Built during the Han Dynasty in the early centuries AD, it belonged to an unknown member of the imperial clan related to Emperor Jing, who ruled from 141 to 139 BC. But the tomb's most astonishing feature wasn't its size or riches, but what lay beneath the emperor's great-great-great-great-grandfather. Archaeologists carefully uncovered a jade burial suit so well preserved that it still fits around the skeleton. This find has finally solved a mystery that has puzzled scholars for centuries. These suits were first unearthed in the 1800s and quickly became some of the most prized artifacts from China's ancient past. Hundreds more have been found since then, mostly in western regions like Gansu, where the Han Dynasty stretched along the Silk Roads. But because no two are exactly alike, there are as many theories about their purpose as there are suits themselves. They range from simple grave goods to complex religious garments designed to protect the dead on their journey to the afterlife. Most are made of thin, flexible plates of nephrite, the hardest form of jade, painstakingly cut and polished by hand, then sewn together with gold or silver thread. Some consist of nearly 2,000 pieces. The result was an incredibly detailed recreation of the body that could fit snugly around the deceased and be buried alongside them deep in the earth. Other examples are simpler, lacking the face, arms and legs, while others show signs of wear from repeated use. This suggests they may have been stored and used for multiple burials over generations. According to some scholars, but without written records from the time, no one knows for sure. The lack of answers has led to wild speculation. Some believe the suits were a kind of spiritual armor, magically imbued to ward off evil spirits and demons that might harm the dead on their journey to the afterlife. Others see them as a symbol of the wearer's elite status and power, given jade's rarity and expense. Still, others argue they were a practical way of preserving the body from scavengers or the elements. Most mainstream scholars dismissed the latter idea out of hand. Jade is beautiful, yes, but also quite brittle. How could it possibly protect a human body, let alone preserve it? Then came the breakthrough. In recent years, scientists developed new non-invasive techniques to analyze ancient artifacts down to the molecular level. No longer would researchers need to chip away at precious artifacts for a few precious samples. Instead, they can now digitally scan objects to reveal secrets hidden in plain sight. So when another jade suit was discovered in 2021, scientists saw an opportunity to finally solve the mystery, once and for all. Using cutting-edge 3D scanning technology, they mapped minute variations in color and texture across the artifact's surface. Then they analyzed tiny flakes of jade that had come loose. What they found shocked them to the core. Locked within the ancient stone were microscopic traces of organic compounds found in human skin, and not just any skin, but the skin of someone very specific. Through additional testing, scientists determined the compounds matched the DNA profile of the person the jade suit had originally been buried with. This proved beyond a shadow of a doubt what common sense should have dictated long ago. The jade wasn't just decorative, it literally encased the body's decomposing flesh. What's more, chemical analysis revealed that the seams between jade plates contained even more organic material. According to lead researcher Tian Tian, the substances likely originated from cinnabar, a red mineral associated with blood. This suggests the seams were deliberately filled with cinnabar to help seal in the body's fluids and prevent leakage. The findings were published in 2025 in the journal Scientific Reports. Now, for the first time ever, scientists had hard evidence of how the ancient Chinese understood preservation, but their conclusion went far beyond anything previous scholars had imagined. Based on the makeup of the jade suit itself, they estimate that it slowed decomposition by up to 60%. That means the suit significantly extended the preservation time of human remains, perhaps even encasing DNA intact, potentially for millennia. Such an effect rivals modern methods of mummification, cryonics, and even space burial. And yet this remarkable technology dates back nearly 2,000 years. Just imagine if genetic material can persist inside a jade shell for so long. What else might have survived but gone unnoticed? So how did the ancient Chinese accomplish such a feat? The answer seems to lie in the unique properties of nephrite jade. Composed of microscopic crystal fibers, it's harder than steel, more dense than lead, and highly resistant to both heat and cold. Nephrite can also absorb and retain certain organic compounds, thanks to small pores within its structure. According to co-author Chengyang Qian, these properties made it ideal for creating a protective exoskeleton. By encasing a body in a suit of jade, ancient Chinese elites essentially suspended animation at the cellular level. It turns out the jade coffin was right all along. But why would anyone go to such lengths to preserve a corpse? Here, too, the answer surprised scientists. In life, jade symbolized wealth and power among the Chinese elite. It was reserved for members of the imperial court and their close associates. After death, the tradition of encasing important figures in jade became a way of preserving their status. Some scholars even speculate that burying important people in jade was a literal interpretation of a belief that jade embodied immortality. Ancient Chinese mythology held that mountains of jade stood at the center of the earth, supporting the heavens and keeping them in balance. The Jade Emperor, ruler of the cosmos, was said to live on an ethereal jade island. When emperors and nobles died, they were often deified, elevated to godlike status. So encasing their bodies in jade may have been seen as a way to help them ascend to immortality. There's even evidence that jade suits were sometimes reused, lending credence to this theory. When a new emperor took the throne, his predecessor was often posthumously downgraded. This involved removing precious burial items like jade and reburying the remains in a simpler coffin. This practice was probably motivated in part by a desire to prevent the dead from corrupting the living. To the ancient Chinese, this was known as the avoidance of death. But it also served a practical purpose. Jade suits were incredibly expensive, requiring the labor of countless artisans. Reusing them made economic sense. It's also possible that the suits were designed to be disassembled and reassembled. Perhaps they were originally conceived as a kind of garment that could be put on and taken off. Such flexibility would have been useful for important figures who died in the middle of a busy schedule. Imagine the emperor needing to march out to inspect the troops one last time. Soldiers would carefully peel away the jade plates from his lifeless form, then stow them away until he could be properly entombed later. Even the inclusion of cinnabar in the seams makes sense in this light. The bright red mineral would have been especially useful for identifying weak points in the jade armor. Filling cracks with cinnabar could have signaled the need for repairs or adjustments. All of this points to a kind of biotechnology that developed independently in ancient China, thousands of years before modern science caught up. The notion that jade could encapsulate and preserve human remains was so revolutionary that it changed how the Chinese viewed death itself. One scholar, Fang Hui, argues that the widespread adoption of jade suits during the Han Dynasty reflects a growing obsession with the afterlife. As the Silk Roads flourished, connecting China to the wider world, ideas spread along with exotic goods. The result was a cultural shift towards viewing death as a transition rather than an ending. This is supported by the increasing number of jade suits found in tombs over time. At first, only members of the immediate imperial family were entombed in jade, but eventually, it became common for wealthy commoners to request the same treatment. For over 500 years, the practice continued until it was halted abruptly by the collapse of the Han Dynasty in 220 AD, but the idea of preserving the body persisted throughout Chinese history. During the Northern Song Dynasty, nearly 1,000 years later, an alchemist named Ji Hong proposed an extreme version of the jade burial suit, an entire jade pagoda that could house 27 complete skeletons. Never built, the project was nonetheless emblematic of the enduring fascination with achieving immortality through preservation. Who knows what other discoveries await us as we continue exploring our world's rich tapestry of cultures and histories. There are surely more treasures waiting to be unearthed that will rewrite what we think we know about the ancient world. So keep learning, stay curious, and never stop exploring. You never know what mysteries you might uncover next. Thanks for watching.